And good afternoon. It's Dialogue with Dozy. You got the fellas. You got KD. What's up, KV?
Hey, bro, what's happening, man?
You got it, man. You got it. It's been a day, but here we are. Here we are. Hey, tonight we got this super show. It's the relevancy of the African American church to the African American community. Uh, our headline guest, Bishop Glover, had a booking issue, and Bishop McKissick is praying to get on. There's an outage in his area. He is doing everything to get on. We got Pastor Steve Perry out of the D on with us, and our good friend, brother Timothy Griffith, is in the co-host seat tonight. Let's go on and let's go on. We're going to talk about. So Kim, I'll have to ask you how the weather is tonight because I'm in the Ville tonight myself. So a little hot in the house, but this is some crazy weather, man. Cold at night and hot in the daytime. As cold as it was last night, I walked out with a sweater on and I had to take it off as soon as I got at the door. And now I needed it on again. So
I did the same thing this morning. I dressed according to the weather last night, man, and burn up today. So I had to take off wrap and peel, like we call it up here, wrap and peel. So
yeah, wrap. That's what we learned living up in Illinois. That wrap, that layer clothing is what it's all about. So here we are. Tonight we're talking about the relevancy. And let's bring our guest on. Guest host, Brother Timothy Griffith. He's been with us before. Timothy Griffith. Tim, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up? Major salute, Pastor Dozell, man. It's always good to be with you on the dialogue. And I see, this is the first time I got an opportunity to be with your big bro, Kim. He's in the studio, man. Kim, good to see you, man. Major salute, man.
Good to see you too, brother. Glad to have you, man. Glad to have you.
Hey, Tim, man, same here.
Tim is the 1 minute preacher, man. He is the 1 minute preacher, and he has a YouTube follow. He's going to talk about it a little bit later, but he does YouTube. He has all the celebrities introducing his 1 minute, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. He has the greatest background, the drops. I've been with him a couple times when he filmed, and his message, he don't know it, but I be stealing his points. The little 1 minute, 3 minute things he be doing. I said, nah, I can't do this for another 2 weeks, so I got to place this here. So the 1 minute preacher, very energetic, innovative, and a sportsman par excellence. He is all of our golf mentor. So just glad he's the host of Sunday Night Starts. He's our mentoring in the start game, our mentor. So Tim, blessed to have you. Thank you for making way to be with us tonight, bro.
Oh yeah.
And brother Steve Perry. Steve, you are in the D, man. I understand you just relocated there.
Well, not relocated. We got 2 churches, three locations, and so it's pretty busy here. And unfortunately, I'm jealous of y'all because y'all get the good warm weather. Okay, down there, y'all wearing coats. Up here, we'll be wearing t-shirts, and where y'all wearing coats at. So the hater rate is real, Pastor. So
I understand.
I got to be honest. I was just in Orlando a couple weeks ago, and I did not want to leave Florida. I didn't. I was getting ready to shut the churches down, and I was gonna tell my wife, we just gonna be a part of your church. So
let me tell you something, man. I relocated to South Florida, some place I kind of always resisted when I was in police work and everything, and all it took was about we relocated in February. And the biggest decision I had to make every day in February of '98 was, is this the day I can let the windows down, or no, I got to have the air on? Heat wasn't even in the question. So, down there, it's short pants. I retired as basically as a PE teacher, and it's basically short pants. You could stretch it all but a week out of the whole year. So anyway, I ain't trying to rub it in.
No, don't feel bad. I got a few deacons that got summer homes down there. I hear them every single week. So
I'm not mad at you. Well, listen, Bishop McKissick is trying frantically to get back on, and to get on, there's a Comcast outage in his area, and brother lives so far out. When you're in that level, you can kind of be out of the city, and he says the cell phone service is bad out there. So if that outage ends, it hit us the other night. Fortunately, it wasn't while we were doing any broadcasting, so I know about that. He's trying continuously. If not, hey, we're gonna bring the cast back on, but we're gonna rock with it tonight, and we're gonna have a great time with it.
Amen.
We are asking the question: what is the current relevance of the African American church and African American community? What I'm doing is Kim and I are thumbing our nose at the calendar makers who would like to relegate us to dealing with all issues of African American history to 1 month, 4 weeks, and we carried over. He hosted last week. They talked about African Americans in the justice system. I caught the tail end of that. Man, that was some show. So we just determined we're not letting February end it for us. And we're going to pick up on this tonight, but we want to tap right into this. First of all, what have you all gone back into worship, or are you virtual, or how has that worked out for you?
Yeah, we back in full service. We've been back in full service for a year, and then what we do is that as the cases rise, then we'll go back to more virtual. But we've been back in full service for well over a year. And it's I think that the challenge has been is the numbers is not what they used to be. Everybody, not only did the world go through a pandemic, but churches went through a pandemic as well. And but what I'm seeing is everybody else our people got time for everything else but God. And I'm starting to not have this sympathy I used to have for people. Because up here in Detroit, we got weed dispensaries. I see lines long full of weed dispensary, and I go to Walmart, I see line long there. I see all this stuff, and our people is forgetting about the one institution that brought us through many challenges, and that's alarming to me. And I got a lot to say about this tonight. I'm not going to spill it all in just this one conversation, but we've already been back within a year with having service.
Tim, have you guys been in? Did you all ever close down and reopen? How did you all do it, Tim?
You talking about in Pompano?
Yeah.
Yeah, we closed down. Pastor had us down. We was sheltering in place. Pastor was the only one in the sanctuary with the praise team, of course, and the media people. And we didn't open back up until just past Easter. So this Easter that's coming next month will make just 1 year that we've been back open. So we opened in Easter, but we were shut down right when the pandemic hit, early March 15th, March 20th, 2020. We closed the doors at Hopewell, and everything went to virtual.
So did you all, the Omicron variant, the Delta and the Omicron outbreak didn't have any difference with what you all were doing?
Well, the parishioners were getting vaccinated, and Pastor, main thing, at Hopewell there was, we wanted to get herd immunity, and he wanted us to have herd immunity fast. So folk were getting those jabs, and we had protocols when you came into the sanctuary: no gathering in the foyer, no gathering outside. There was no touching, no offering giving, no walking around. You had to keep your mask on throughout. So we had strict protocols all the way through. We came through the Delta variant. We came through Omicron. We did not have an outbreak. Unfortunately, Pastor did, toward the end of Omicron, he did go down. But because he was vaccinated, he was able to be strong. And shortly after a week, we were able to get him back in service.
KV, how did you all do over at New Life? I know you and I were talking last night. I know you kind of moved around quite a bit continuously in your personal life. What did you all do as far as, did you all ever shut down and reopen? How did y'all do it?
Yeah, we shut down there at New Life. We did shut down for quite a while, and we eventually opened back up, and we opened back up slowly. I know a lot of churches are opening up where you have to register to before you can't just show up at church. You have to register, and if your name is on the list, they can only take like 100 people at a time. That's how we started doing it. We took 100 people with the size of our sanctuary. We seat probably about 800 to 1,000 people in our sanctuary, if not more. And but we open it up 100 people at a time, and and then we did that by registering. If you just showed up and your name went on the list, we have to, we explain to you. And of course, we sent out the emails and and tried to make people aware of it the best way we could. I noticed yesterday I visited our old home church, Bethel Baptist, Bishop McKissick church, and the mask is still required. They do, when you come down to join the church now, you don't come down, you don't walk down before the church, you text. They put up a screen and they put up a number and you text that you want to join the church, or you want to give your life over, not necessarily join the church, but you want to give your life to Christ. And as soon as you text, I mean, they respond right back to you with some, you know, they have a little video that they show of Bishop and his wife, you know, her sister Kimberly McKissick, and they talk to him on a little video, and then the team comes right in after that, and they explain to him what the steps are for, you know, joining, becoming a member there and all. So there's still some there, and you have to register there as well. They haven't opened up fully yet. They're only taking so many people at a time right now. So you know the size of Bethel, and they only taking so many people at a time right now. They're making sure that you're social distance. There's no touching, just like Brother Griff said. There's no touching, and you know, you don't go down and shake the pastor's hand afterwards. He did come out yesterday, and greet a couple of us, but you know, he doesn't stand at the door and shake hands or anything like they once did. So
okay, well, when we spoke about this engagement last Monday, I think it was, I had to really commend him, because he has kind of mentored me from a distance on how to do this thing, because he has really kept that sanctuary shut down, and they were going to open back up fully, and he'll talk about it if he's able to get on tonight or whenever. They kept it shut down, and they were going to open up fully in September when Omicron, Delta was in, the Omicron hit back. They scrapped that immediately, and I think they only started doing the registration process maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I think they're doing, I think we're considering relaunching Resurrection Sunday, and we'll see where they go. Of course, you're hearing that it's resurging again over in China, and they're expecting an outbreak again. We have a few weeks to kind of make a prayerful decision about that. I want to ask you, Brother Perry, and let me make fun of your name, or not make fun of it, but just got to tell you, man, one of my all-time favorite groups, period, is of course Journey, and Steve Perry is a singer par excellence. And the craziest thing you ever want to see, after he left the group, they went out and brought in this young kid, a Filipino kid, that if you've heard Journey lately, he sounds, if you didn't see him, you would just believe it's Steve Perry. And the word is, the kid cannot speak one word of English.
Wow.
But he sings all of Steve's songs. So Journey is one of my favorite groups, man. What's your name? So you were saying, and we're going to get into some ethnic issues and ethnicity in the church. But your opinion, and I saw kind of like a running battle or conversation, dialogue on Facebook between pastors, those who open and those who were playing it cautious, and I heard them kind of using what you said. What was going to be your measuring stick to rein it back in or shut it down or whatever? What was it going to take for you to bring it in and shut it back down?
So my wife is a pharmacist.
Okay.
And so she has a skill. So what I will always do, but before I do anything, I'm the king of delegating. And and so when she say, I don't agree with the numbers, or things of that nature, I just go with her recommendation. And so I know most pastors don't have that to their advantage, but we've always used that. Okay, if she agreed with it, amen. And then I got other people in the church that's like nurses and stuff like that, and I would look for a consensus between all of them to say, hey, okay, we're gonna do this or we ain't gonna do this. And so I just go whatever their recommendation is. We don't worry about
it. So are you at full capacity now?
Yeah, we've been at we still struggling with capacity. Our numbers have not been the same because early on we lost our church admin and we lost our worship leader to COVID-19.
Oh wow.
And and so so it got around. Some people didn't want to go to our church because they thought our church was the only church in Detroit that had COVID. Now all these churches in Detroit, they thought our church was the only one that had COVID, right? But we've been back at full capacity since October 2020. We've been, well, in terms of coming back, but we still haven't gotten all of our members back. No.
Oh wow. Okay, so no restrictions since. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Now we had masks, stuff like that, but we really didn't, push it too hard. We just kind of just chilled out a little bit with it, and ever since then we haven't had no other sicknesses or nothing like that. And if we thought the numbers were going up too bad, we'll just shut the church back down and go to virtual. But I never ever tried to make this thing into like a big thing, predominantly because I think when we make it into a big thing, people watch the leadership, and if the leadership is not, how can I say, careful about how we manage the fears of people, it'll be more of a thing that it'll validate their fears. So,
Okay.
So I'm a little bit careful. I'm a military guy. Sound like a couple of y'all are as well. So that's how we kind of roll with it.
Okay. So we're not gonna pick on you tonight by yourself about the. We're just gonna kind of kick it around amongst ourselves about the ethnicity and the theological participation based on that. So, but I just want to ask a few more things about this pandemic, and we'll push on it. Hey, Griff, what was virtual worship like for you well, I know you're a minister, but what was it like on the receiving end of virtual ministry?
Well, Pastor Dozell, it was not a new phenomenon to many of us because we at Hopewell, we always had Ustream. So there was always the ability, if you were out of town or if, just for whatever reasons, the wife wasn't feeling well, or, you had to take one of the kids to urgent care, you were able to catch the service via Ustream on your phone or either by the computer. But that was, definitely, at choice, given whatever circumstances you had. So when we went totally virtual, I wouldn't say it was a major shock. For some, it probably was. But what I think total virtual did is it made people a little more complacent. People got used to, rolling out of bed, rolling into the office or rolling downstairs and being able to watch worship. And by it being a prolonged period, they say it takes 30 days to break a habit. Well, that was more than 30 days, man. So I think that has been the conundrum of trying to get the parishioners back. And then I hope we get into it, man. I want to get in the bag tonight, all four corners. I want us to be transparent. I want us to, patty cake this thing, man. I want us to put the icing where it lays. And we as ministers, we as pastors, we as bishops, we haven't done what we need to do, man. There's a lot of noise that's out there. We haven't always kept our integrity. We haven't always, did right. We have been caught in some different things. You hear a lot of stuff. So it has really hurt the body of Christ because we as the representation of clergy have let the body of Christ down too. So we got to do our part at making Jesus attractive again. And I think that's the thing. We just got to make him attractive again. Once we make Jesus attractive again, barring that, nothing majorly happens in the world that drives everybody back to the church. But I hope we get in the bag tonight, man, and we discuss some real issues, because there's some real issues out there that we need to really tap into.
We're going to hit it. KB, I know you were burnt out with virtual stuff on your job and everything. You were like Zoom out. I know we talked about it a couple of times.
Yeah.
How was worship for you when you were not before? I know your position in church, kind of mandates your appearance. But before you got back in, what was worship like for you when you weren't able to be there?
Well, it like you said, I was burnt out from the job that I was doing, having to do stuff virtually. But church wise, we shut down for a while at New Life, and then we opened back up, and I want to address that first. We opened back up. We've been fully open, but we still gonna get all our members coming in, like Brother Perry said, and I think Eric Griffith said the same thing. That we don't get all our members coming in. They haven't started coming back in as of yet. We're only getting so many in every Sunday. So, but to answer your question, I'm just a people person. I like dealing with people in person, and you know, I like I know the pandemic was something that we had to respect, and we did respect it. I had much respect for it. I've been vaccinated in every way I can, but I'm just a people person. I like being in front of people. I like to, when people talk, I like to be there in person to talk to them. So for me, and speaking just for me, not members of my church or speaking for the church, but speaking just for me, I'm a people person. I like being there in person, and especially it's a different feeling when you're worshiping at home, and when you're worshiping in a church with people, and they're talking back to the pastor, and it's a different feeling to me. I mean, I guess you should feel the same way when you hear the word wherever you're at. But it's just you can get more into the service a little bit more, I think, when you're there in the building, I think. So,
well, just a self, and then we're gonna take the hands, the cuffs off the Brother Griffin asking for, but just a self reflection, or just telling you, I got complacent with the virtual thing, not complacent, not being in worship with my people, or there was nothing like right before Omicron hit back, we had just escalated. We were doing first Sunday live, and then we moved to a second Sunday in the attempt to go back totally in person. And then when Delta, I was a victim of Delta, and it kind of, Tim know it kind of had its way with me for a couple of months. And then just when we got over that, we said we'll look, wait a couple months, and then came Omicron. So now that it's waning, we're looking to go back. But when I say complacent, when I got complacent was, I've been, I lived kind of several places over the nation and had several ministries. So, and you guys know your church means everything to you. You know, pastors, you know that. My home church is transitioned from Bishop Senior to Bishop Junior, and I mean, what a smooth handoff that was, and it just went to the next level with him. And so our worship services, whenever I'm in Jacksonville, I always beat it down to the Bethel Church. I would go with worship with New Life with Kim. But what this did was it opened the door for me to, when I signed off our service, which just worked out just perfectly, I would be on the Bethel Church's service. Then when it signed off, I listened to the church that I worshiped with while I was in seminary up in Louisville. And then I was able along the way to catch some of my friends' services back and forth. And so that was when I said I became complacent, it was it kind of well-versed the ministry. But I know you guys, there's nothing like being, even though, and my wife's in medicine too, Brother Perry, and she kind of did the protocol in our ministry, and she was real careful, and she's real careful now. So there was social distance and all of the protocol, but man, it just felt good that when that one Sunday morning, I don't know, it was because we missed each other 3 Sundays instead of every Sunday see each other, but it was real special, or it is real special. So we're praying for a relaunching on Resurrection Sunday, and we'll see where we go from there. Okay.
So I know a lot of major churches, a lot of the bigger churches they were a little slow about opening up the going back to the full service and all, because they're, of course, now they're doing the churches doing the service via Zoom or whatever manner they're doing it, and now you have more people like sending in more money because the people are watching you from all over the world compared to just people coming to the church. So I know a lot of churches that I think they were a little slow opening up, and this is just me saying it. I think a lot of them were a little slow opening up because they were, making a little bit more, get more contributions coming into the church. So,
Brother Perry, how did that work for you? Did your contribution? I've been hearing you say, gathering momentum has been different with you. How would your, I don't want to ask personal question about you, but how does that work for you doing, you know, because that Kim's right. That's what we were hearing.
Contributions went down for us. It was horrible. But what we did was we started doing some social entrepreneurial projects. So we our church opened up an Amazon business during the pandemic, and it was wonderful. So we get all this stuff from Amazon and we give it away, for donations. It was crazy. It was bananas. We started a cell phone business in the middle of the pandemic. So our church just found some different ways to bring in some, because our church in Detroit, there's no secret what's going to Detroit. Ain't a lot of money up here right now. And so, so the Lord opened up that door for us to be able to manage, in a hard city, a hard situation during a rough time, during this season. So,
are you on the east side of Detroit?
Yeah, our church is on the east side of Detroit. What you know about the east side and the west side?
Yeah, hey man, my godfather lives up there. You probably know him, man. He's been in the public school system many times. He's retired now. Rick Ross, he's the original Rick Ross.
That sounds familiar. I don't know him personally, but that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Familiar. Yeah.
Well, he's out in Belleville now. They moved out. They used to live downtown Detroit. They moved out in Belleville now.
That's west.
Yeah.
Belleville is west.
Right. But he's from the east side.
I get it. We all like to do that when we want somebody to know that we can cut them. We tell them we're from the east side of Detroit, so nobody won't slip up on us.
So Pastor Perry, you know about Strathmore Street? I know you know Grand Boulevard and all up there, Detroit.
Yeah, I know about Strathmore West Side. Grand Boulevard, you got East and West. Yeah. I'm a born and raised.
we have those of them. I have relatives up there in Detroit. My mom's brother and some aunts and uncles all lived up there in Detroit for a while. So I remember we used to go up there and visit. And I remember Strathmore Street was where my aunt Irene used to live, over off Strathmore in that area. So quite a little familiar with Detroit. Not as familiar as you probably can be, but I'm a little familiar with it.
So if you got family from Detroit, you're from Detroit. So
let me use this as a segue into our conversation. Let me use this as, I know Griffith want to take them gloves off. Let me use this as a segue. And okay, did we lose Pastor for a minute? Okay. I don't want to, I was just about to ask him, I don't know if we get to come down for a minute. So let me make a quick adjustment. So Griff, what do you see as is the Black church, which traditionally or it just was the backbone of the Black community? Are we going to abandon attendance now because we're on the other side of a pandemic? What do you see? What do you see us moving with that?
Pastor Dozie, that's an awesome question. But let's back into it this way. The Black church, permanent role throughout history, and you can search history. The role of the church has been 1, job training, 2, racial inequality, 3, hope facing oppression, regression, depression, obsession, recession, and every other kind of session or ession you want to put on it. That has been the permanent role of the Black church. But for some reason, Pastor Dozie, we have gotten away from that old landmark. And we got to get back to that old landmark. We've started building new things, and we're building buildings, and we're building CDCs, and we're not building people anymore. We're building everything else, but we're not building people. We're not building our children. We're not building Pookie. We're not investing in Ray and Shaquita. We're not taking care of our elderly, our senior citizens. They don't feel safe in their neighborhoods. I mean, come on now. We're not helping the homeless. The great commission has been the great omission in the church. I mean, come on, let's keep it real like a full course meal tonight. You know what I'm saying? You said we're going to take the gloves off. I want all of the gloves to come off. I got my knives on the table, my guns on the table, and my hands on top of the table. Let's keep it real tonight. We have not done a great job as in this 21st century as doing what we need to do for the body of Christ at large. We got to get back to that. You know, we Sunday school. Some churches have abandoned Bible study. Some churches don't even have Bible study anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so we got to get back to building the family. We got to get back to investing in our married couples. COVID taught us, if COVID taught us nothing else, Pastor Dozell, COVID-19 put everybody in the house, and husbands and wives found out they didn't really like each other. Wow. Henceforth, domestic abuse went up to an all-time high. We got to get back to it, man. Come on, let's keep it real tonight.
Well,
you spot on, bro. And what you're saying, the church now stays within the four walls of the church. They're not out in the community like it once was. The black church to me, and I don't want to speak out of turn, Dozell, but the black church to me used to be the staple of the community where whatever issues you had, you'd have a town hall meeting at the church, and the community would come together and they talk about it and they work it out. The church will go down to City Hall for you, the pastors and all, you got that meeting at the church, and they go down to City Hall if you had an issue dealing with City Hall or the city or police brutality, whatever the case was. You had those meetings there at the black church. You had a session, one of the other sessions that you refer to, brother. You have a session at the black church, and then you come to some type of solution, and you take it to wherever you need to take it. For me, I think the black church needs to get more involved in the community. And I know people will have to come from the community into the church, but we got to get back out on the streets, man, in the black church. And we got kids killing kids here in Jacksonville.
Say that.
Black murder is huge here, bro. It's huge. I lost my son to violence in the streets.
Wow.
So it's huge here, man. And that's one thing I know since losing him, I've been walking the streets myself. And I know once you get out there and talk to people, when you start building trust in those guys out there, I'm talking about the shooters, not just good people on the streets, but the ones that are out there doing the wrong. Once you get out there and address those people and talk to them and build a relationship with them, it's all about building relationships. And once you build that relationship with them, they'll start trusting in you. And crime here on the east side of Jacksonville, out east as we call it, is going down because of that. So we got to, and if the church would get back out, we got churches on every corner on the east side. If the churches get active and get back, take it to the streets again, we can solve this. We won't solve it, but we can slow it down. We can slow down the shooting and the homicides here in town. We can slow it down a whole lot. We can slow down some of the crime in this city a whole lot if we just get back out on the streets.
So, Kim, you spot on. You spot on, Kim. And I consensually endorse everything you said. President Barack Obama said something, Pastor Dozie, and I'll pivot to you. He said something very powerful, and I quote, President Obama once said when he was in office, he said, "There's nothing more powerful than the black church. A good sermon, a good choir, it's better than mom's apple pie," unquote. I digress.
Let me ask you, Pastor Steve. I'm having some background sound. Okay, I was just about to ask you. I don't know what's going on. I was just about to ask you Dr. Leon Sullivan in Philadelphia started the OIC, came out of his church in Philadelphia, Opportunities Industrialization Center. We all know at the Southern Christian Leadership Conference came out of Dexter Avenue over in Montgomery and parlayed over into Atlanta. The Black Civil Rights Movement was covered. I just heard you, Pastor Steve, say that during the pandemic, you guys parlayed into economic justice, is what Jesse Jackson will call it, out of the church. And the Underground Railroad was right there in Detroit, right out, you know the name of the church where it parlayed over to Canada. We're doing a good job of identifying the issues and the needs My question is, what can the black, what in 2022 post-pandemic, what can the black church do, or what does the black church need to do to get its community back spiritualized again? That's the question.
I see this in a few segments. I think first off, we got we're about 5 generations from what they call the Great Migration from the South to the North. Part of the reason why the church was the way that it was 100 years ago, all the way up till about maybe 60 years ago, was because people, number one, they were farmers, okay, and so they had to depend on community in the South, and they brought those same values up to the North. So since I think the black church, number one, is trying to identify itself again since the civil rights movement. Because essentially since the civil rights movement, we I don't want to use the word we've lost ourselves, but people don't have enough confidence in the black church. Now I heard my brother Griff talking a few minutes ago, but the church has been around for 2,000 years. And some of the same things that we're complaining about was one of the reasons why Martin Luther left the Catholic Church to start the Lutheran Church, was because of some of the same issues. Sin has always been in clergy. Sin has always been in leadership. But I think sometimes we focus too much on sin and not enough about the message. It's the gospel message of Jesus Christ that changes the lives of people. About a year ago, since we're talking about economic justice, our church, we was feeding 52,000 families last year. And
wow.
So we had one of these organizations that thought they was just going to show up to our building. They didn't even come and talk to us or nothing about you. So I let them use it, right? And I watched these same guys who do all the publicity about how the church is not doing nothing, give away 100 bags, do a publicity stunt with it, and that day the light clicked on, right? Our part of the reason why our people don't come to church is because they think that we serve a white Jesus. I'm going to say that one more time. They think that we serve a white Jesus. More black men are going to Hebrew Israelite, and more of our sisters are going over to witchcraft. Our people don't have a spiritual problem. They have an iniquity against God. Okay, I don't think nobody worked harder than the black church. I have a different perspective because I see black pastors work hard with no salary. I see black churches feeding people with people food stamps. And just in case y'all know, I pastor all white church and I pastor all black church. And I know from firsthand experience the difference between the two. And with me pastoring a white church, I can tell you it's day and night between the mindsets and the attitudes of those people and day and night in the mindsets and the attitudes of our people. Okay. White people have this mindset that they want to make kingdom investment. Now, I'm about to bless y'all socks for what I'm getting ready to say next. Our people have a mindset of kingdoms of consumerism, right? So they don't come to church to give anything back. They only come to church to receive. Other people come to church to give, right? That's and I know we got this thing that our people listen and look what they spend their money on. I hear people complaining about the black church, about what the black church do with the money, and they don't say nothing to these guys that's out here selling all this weed and these drugs. They don't say nothing to these liquor stores. They got liquor available every single day for our people to take advantage of. They spend their money there. They're not having a conversation with Polo about it, right? All these Chinese stores that own these beauty supply stores, right? They don't say nothing to them, but they protesting against the one institution that have been there through slavery, that have been there through Reconstruction, that have been through 100 years of Plessy versus Ferguson, right? When people are hungry, they go to the black church. When people need money, they show up and the black church take a collection for them, right? when they need a place to live, they don't even go to the social worker first. They go to that pastor, whether small church or big church, right? The government got regulations for them to do stuff. So I think the black church have been doing more than what he can, but the black church is burnt out, tired, right? Pastors are tired. Members are tired, right? The people that still trust God are tired, right? We can't find none of these people that got all this stuff to say when it's time to do some community outreach and events. They won't even show up. They won't even show up to marital counseling. They don't show up to services where you're talking about what they need to do for this stuff, right? So what it tells me is that our people have a priority issue. They prioritize more things of the world than they do the things of God. And the scripture told us that we was going to be with this. Now, this is the last thing I'm going to say. I'm going to talk about economic justice. One of the issues I think that we struggle with as a people is that we never really kind of do what we can do. We always worried about the stuff that we can't do nothing about, right? So our people day one, when these kids go to work, they want to be a millionaire, but they won't show up to church's chicken and be a good employee, day one, right? Without them not understanding that they become more marketable when that first job, that second job, they learn how to be on time, they learn how to follow instructions. They don't know enough to give commands and demands yet. So they're learning early on how to be a good employee, which eventually later on can lead to them being a great business owner or a great manager, things of that nature, right? But we concerned about, the white collar job, right? Which that's going to come later on, but we don't do what we can do right now. We don't learn how to invest in our own homes. We don't learn how to manage our own money. We don't even know how to take care of our own families. People out here recklessly having sex, making babies, doing all this other stuff, kids not taking care of their homes. So people know what to do. And then they don't want to be in an environment where they're being held accountable to do the right things. So, these are issues that only we can take advantage. So I don't really focus on what I can't do. What I do is, hey, somebody need a job, come and work for the church a couple hours a week. We can give you a paycheck. We can show you how to do financial literacy. If you want counseling, we'll give you counseling. But I ain't about to force you to do something you don't want to do. And so I'm just looking for people that's hungry and want to change their lives, not only for themselves, but want to change their lives for Christ and want to change their lives for the community. And those are the people that I've learned to look for. Everybody else, amen. If you need me, we're there to help you. But until you're serious about changing your life, then the information I got available for you is not valuable yet.
Well, it looks like we took the gloves off here now. Looks like it's gotten real. I'm going to ask us to put the pause button on, and let's hear a word from our sponsors. We coming right back and get right into it.
I got a couple of comments in from our viewers. Those I want to ignore them.
Let's grab them we'll begin with them on the other side of the break.
Okay.
And then Tim, you can launch right into what we're hearing.
Yeah.
Go ahead. That's our sponsor. That's an awesome commercial. More go get creations.com. Listen, Kim, I don't know where to start because I want to pick up on Fern's comment, but I want you to just grab the comments as a whole like you usually do. Henry's waiting. Go ahead, Kim, and I'm gonna pick up on Fern's comment before Griffith.
Well, I just want to share a couple of comments from our viewers. I don't think we're not listening to them. First off, we had Sister Terrell Perry who said, great discussion. That was earlier during the conversation. Great discussion. Fern came in when our regular viewers came in. She said, wasn't Jesus a Jew who served all people? We had Henry Glenn, who was another one of our normal listeners. take world and I'm shortening his conversation to, well, here it is, take the world out and self out and put God back in it with God's direction and instruction, we will grow in and out. Those are three that I picked up on. I didn't see any other ones, but I just want to share those conversations. I mean, share those what our viewers were saying, so we can comment on that as well.
Hey, Griff, before you weigh in on what Brother Steve was just saying, I want to let on what Fern said, and I'm an eternal optimist. I'm always believing in the glass half full as opposed to it half empty. I'm always believing that it's going to get better than it's always the gloom and doom going to get worse. But I want to just throw some facts out there. So, Bruh Steve, I mean, man, so spot on. We are losing brothers by the boatload to the Hebrew Israelite community, and we're going to do a show on their faith. But let's face this. Let's face it. So, ironically, of all places, and I was trained by the Southern Baptist Seminary, the Southern Baptist Seminary, and I went on with a chip on my shoulder because their theology is 100% opposed to mine. You support Donald Trump because his agenda spoke out against abortion and homosexuality. And when it came to sexuality, only God knows what he was involved in. And when it came to abortions, I would guarantee that he's probably had more than any multitude of us, triple. So it was just a political ploy that he played to get on there. So you allow all the foolishness that this man put on this nation, and you take those two things to say you preferred him over other candidates because they were more tolerant of the homosexual community and abortion, those things. None of us, we're Christians. We don't believe in murder, but just as a whole. So that's the hypocrisy that has always caused me to have a frustration with the Southern Baptist Convention. However, here's the reality. Billy Graham, and we were raised on Billy Graham. My mother, before TV was big, we used to gather around the radio on Sunday nights and listen to Billy Graham. And Billy Graham had a gospel message about salvation that I could relate to. Okay, if you ask me what did he do as far as speaking out on the race issue during that period of time, no whites were doing it, very few. So I'm not gonna charge him with that. However, here's what I will say. T.D. Jakes preaches the most colorless message in the world. And anything other than a black face in his congregation is pretty much Hispanic. And his ministries have targeted the white community. So America fundamentally has an issue with race. And no matter how we say it, we got to face it. Ironically, with Southern Seminary, they had the most realistic picture that I could probably relate to Jesus Christ. They had a picture of what I would relate to as my image of a Palestinian Jew. He was not black. He was not white. He was what a Palestinian Jew looks like to me today. Southern Seminary. They got that piece right, but everything else in the convention and other things. And so, Fernan, I got to just answer your question by saying that, okay, so our ministry, thankfully, we became more interracial, which was my dream when we launched that ministry in 2007. We didn't go into the heart of Dania Beach, Griff. We went out on the interstate at the hotel with the hopes of it being more interracial. That never occurred. So we had to go where people could come conveniently. But we'll go to Wayne Parks' ministry. And so I don't know what's the mindset of that. Maybe that's the conditioning of slavery. But it's our desire to be colorless in worship. It's our desire to be one people, one in Christ. It's our desire. It's my heart for sure to be the beloved community, because that's what Martin Luther King only spoke of what Christ had already put forth. But getting that to happen in America is a frustration. And it parlays over to the Christian community. Griff, I know you had some questions about some of those comments that Brother Steve had. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I think Brother Steve was spot on, man. Hats off, major salute to him being able to shift when COVID came in, much like I had to do in my business, TLG Fashions. You know that, Pastor Dozell. I service all of the pastors around our Tri-County, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, as well as around the state, you know, giving them shirts, ties, cufflinks, and them gators for them haters. But, you know, when COVID hit, you know, pastors wasn't traveling that much. They was pretty much in the church and on virtual. So I had to shift. And then we had the summer protest with George Floyd. So I had to start making T-shirts just so that I can keep the bills paid, so I can know how the bread is buttered. So, you know, hats off to him, you know, with that economic empowerment. I'm an entrepreneur myself. So when he said that, my antennas immediately went up, man. So that's what I'm talking about. And it's going to take that type of mindset, that type of fortitude, that type of tenacity to push the Black church forward. But on the onset, Pastor Dozell, what is the relevance? What is the relevance of the Black church in our community? I see five things. First, I see identity. You know, when the world tells us we can't, you know, the church tells us, Philippians 4:13, that I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens us. What's the relevance of the Black church? Not only is identity, but spiritual growth, because all of us got a little David in us. You know, David shows us that you can fall down, but then you can realize your mistakes, and then you can get back on the wagon and get back in the game. So not only the relevance of the Black church is identity, spiritual growth, but it's self-esteem. You know what I'm saying? It's self-esteem. It gives us that self-esteem. All of us had some Rahab moments. All of us have been in some Rahab moments, but the Rahab moment shows us that we can be destiny helpers. That's the relevance of the Black church: identity, spiritual growth, self-esteem, but not only cultural preservation.
Yes.
Because we as a people have been, like I said, oppressed and repressed and regressed, that we need that cultural preservation. You know, I'm in Miami and I see how the Hispanics stick together. I see how the Haitian community stick together. I see how the Cuban American community stick together. And listen, to all of my brothers and my homies and to all of the millennials that may be watching, listen, we all we got, brown people. We all we got. But not only identity, spiritual growth, self-preservation, cultural preservation, self-esteem, but racial equality. That's the relevance of the Black church in today's society: racial equality. Because I'm a firm believer that we as a Black church have done so much for so long with so little that the Black church is qualified to do almost anything with practically nothing.
Yeah.
Perry just told you about it, how we shift and move on to something else so that the Black church can keep moving. So those are the five things that I see as far as the relevance. We got identity, we got spiritual growth, we got self-esteem, we got cultural preservation, and then we got racial inequality.
Yeah.
On point, bro. On point.
Yeah.
We have, can you update us on some of those questions, Kim?
Your volume is low, Dozell.
Okay, I don't know what happened. She just muted me.
You better now. You better now.
Okay.
Say it again.
Okay, can you update us on, I know we just got a whole new set of questions. Can you kind of update us and then I want you to weigh in on what Brother Steve, because what Brother Steve kind of says is that we are burnt, the church, the leadership is burnt out trying to reach our people who what can we do to maintain our people when they're gravitating to other things? I mean, that's my question.
Yeah.
What can we do? But when you bring apprise us to what some of our viewers are saying, and we're in on that, Varner.
I haven't seen many comments since the last three that I read from earlier. Troy, if there are some, if you would refresh my. Okay, we got Fern says, "Wow, how could religion turn into something other than other teaching Jesus? Great works and salvation. Perhaps white and Black churches have turned into psychological and food bank other than a teaching of God's words." That's interesting. I'm not honestly saying I'm not honestly say things that are wrong. Maybe just have been expected to have to overreach the boundaries of what can be honestly done with the church's means. There are many outreach programs available, and I see what she's saying. Me weighing in on it, I just think that I tend to believe what Brother Griffith is saying is so true, man. You know, the relevance of the black church and just get down to the nuts and bolts of it. The relevance of the black church in the community has always been there to strengthen the community, and whatever issues we're dealing with, we can take it to the black church. I'm 60. I might as well go ahead and say 60 years old now. December I'll be 60, so I can remember how First Baptist Church, Roseville down the street, First Baptist of Oakland, played a big role in the black community and out east where we grew up, which was a very close knit. Out east is probably the most close knit community in the city of Jacksonville. Jacksonville is the biggest city in the country. So out east was the most close knit black community, and still is in the city of Jacksonville, I believe. But the First Baptist Church of Oakland used to play a big role in the black community. I mean, like we talked about earlier, if there were issues going on, we took it to the church. I know back in the days, I heard Brother Steve talk about, you know, back then when in the times of and I don't think you'd say it just like this, but in the slavery days, you know, we believed in our faith. We fell on our faith. And that's what got us through a lot of things. Now we're not so much getting through with the faith. We get through with commercial things and gifts and everything else, but falling back towards faith. That's what's going on, in my opinion, today in the church. And the church, and on the other hand, I agree with what you're saying, that the pastors are probably getting tired of our brothers and sisters turning to other religions, other fake gods, or whatever you want to call them. But I think that the church needs to get back out and into the community. Once we get back out into the community, we can start winning more souls over to Christ. And we see a difference in the way that the community looks at the church. I say it again. I think the church now stays within those four walls. They don't get outside. If they do something, they might have something in their parking lot. And if you don't pass by that church, you don't know they got something going on. They're not out in the community. They're not walking the streets. They're not, and that's what they need to do: get out here and walk the streets and make people know, especially in the community that they live in, or that the church stands. You know, the community where the church stands. They get in that community and let people know, hey, we're here. We're here to help, and we're out in the community doing things. I don't see that anymore. I don't see that. I used to see it growing up. I don't see it anymore.
Pastor Steve, I'm every now and then when I got to blow off some racial tensions, I get with my counterpart, who is the head of the Southern Baptist. The general executive. I can't think of his official title, but Brother Mishaw, who's been on the program before, who is over the local Southern Baptist Association. The associate, they don't call it a moderator, Griff, in that executive director, I think is the title.
Yeah, it's like a strength mobilizer. Yeah, I know. Go ahead. Yeah. I'm sorry.
So, okay, yeah. So I'm understanding of the churches under the Gulf Stream Association, which when I moved to Fort Lauderdale was like, major. That the Caucasian church is in the far minority. And they have had to now reach out primarily to Haitian, Portuguese, and all is more more multi-ethnic as opposed to what it started out as. And so with that being said, does that mean that's a universal problem in the church, that people are just kind of turning their backs? It's not just issue in our community, our church community, or just, is it a faith? I keep hearing Kim talk about the faith. I think it's just essential what you said. We've always had competition. We've always had the Muslim fished our men away. The Black Panthers, some people looked at that more or less as a religion as opposed to a social outreach, as we see BLM now. But so is this a universal problem that the church universally is having to face now? The competition of things that are non-spiritual getting their attention and they're turning their backs on God, so to speak?
Well, I think what's going on is number one, black people, just as much as white people do, we struggle with the victimization of racism. Okay, as a result of this particular iniquity, we talk about white people racism, but we never ever really deal with unforgiveness in the hearts of black people, right? What I do is I have this teaching around iniquity, and I remember when I was a kid and the church would talk about iniquity, I thought that was people that was hiding to go sin. So little boys, y'all know what we're talking about. 15-year-old, you think you sinning, and you come to church and you feel bad because it was a quote unquote iniquity. As I become theologically a little bit more stronger, iniquity is essentially the sin that nobody sees but you and God. Iniquity is really sin between you and God. That's the reason why people could come to church every single week, lives not be changed, is because in our faces they look saved, but behind the scenes between them and God, the relationship is not there, right? And I think what has happened as a result of all of this racial rhetoric, black people have unforgiveness with God about slavery and racism in America. And it has turned our hearts away from God. We're trying to find every reason not to follow God. Now, I'm gonna say this about racism because I've looked at this thing objectively. In America, we would not have an issue with racism if it was not for economics, if it was not for cheap labor, right? And so slavery was a sin of capitalism in the country. It went so bad as far as they wanted to consider us 3/4 human, as a result of that, or 2/3 human as a result of that. And we dealt with 100 years of segregation in the South. That's how bad slavery was for us. But what we have to know is that we serve a God that loves us in spite of what white people did to us. Black people has gotten so messed up with this that they think Islam is our original religion. No, Christianity was in Africa long before Islam was. Okay. Christ talked to the Ethiopian long before he talked to the European, right? So it's some things that we need to know about this God that we serve. I think one of the issues that we have as a result of all of this, people going to different religions and stuff like that, the devil has opened up a door to our people to have a different God as a result of that. We feel so defensive about us not doing all this stuff in the community, and stuff like that. We feel as if we're doing something wrong to get numbers up. But until we deal with this racial issue amongst us as a people, it's going to continue to get worse. I'm gonna go ahead and be blunt. Other communities don't have an issue as big as feminism like we do in our communities. They don't have a big agenda around the LGBTQ like we do in our communities, right? And those two issues alone have taken us away just from Black people issues, because now, unless we have these other two issues connected, it felt like it's a sin for us to talk about what we need to do to become a community. If y'all not familiar with the French philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Rousseau's social contract with the world in the 1700s was that Rousseau automatically wanted to take the children away from the parents, right? That's backwards playing here, right? That's the reason why we have an issue with all these other things that's going on, because the state essentially want to raise our children, right? And just like everything, they use the Black family as a test to see how well that will work. Well, they had 60 years to see what that looked like, right? Our people don't follow the teachings that we preach every single week. I'm telling you right now, and y'all know this for yourself. If people would just follow the word of God, many of them would not have an economic and a family problem. But they refuse to follow the word of God. We wouldn't have a community issue if we can just get our people to just come and support the work of the church. Okay. We passing out flyers and stuff, Pastor Kim, to the community, all this other stuff, but it's people that's older than 60 years old that's doing all this stuff. I can't find nobody between 20 and 50 to do no work. I can't find them. I can't find the people that's out here that's they got the energy to do it, right? Because they want, when they come into the church, they're ready to fight and protest against the church, right? But that's stuff that we can't do nothing about, because our people is so far away from even a basic community environment. They don't even have a point of reference of what we even talking about. No point of reference. And as a result of that, we giving these big philosophies, these macro issues and stuff like that, but people don't even know how to work together within their household.
So Tim, Kim, both of you all, it was a lot of controversy back, what was that, in the early 90s when Stomp, for instance, hit when they hit and Kurt Franklin and Donald Lawrence and your boy Dietrich Hatton just went way out with the radical worship. So you mentioned, Pastor Steve, that we can't get that 20-year-old in. Kim, those are brothers in the hood who we losing, who killing each other. Kim and Tim, how do you all feel about the Kurt Franklins of the world who says, okay, the brothers ain't gonna come to us, we got to go to them, and we gotta hip hop the gospel, not compromise the essence of the word, but the approach of getting it to them. See, I didn't have any problem. I was one of those guys. We had our little closed church, and we didn't have the auspices of a denomination of somebody pointing a gun at us, because my kids did Stomp from the because I got kids involved that were not coming to sing the traditional hymns and so forth. So it has evolved. How far do we need to evolve with society to keep society to be relevant, to get their attention, as opposed to losing them with the traditional? I want to ask you guys, how do y'all feel about that?
I'll say this. I was fortunate enough to sit in. I attended Bethel Church yesterday with Bishop McKissick Jr. As he's the main bishop there at the church now. Those of you and I grew up at Bethel. Traditionally, it's the oldest, the largest black church here in Jacksonville.
In the state of Florida.
A lot of other churches look up to North Florida. A lot of other churches look up to Bethel. We've always been that big, that staple in the black churches here in the community. Bishop McKissick Jr. is his sermon just yesterday, and I wish I had some sermon if I can play. But just yesterday, he talked about how we got to start addressing the younger crowd now. It's a different generation. It's a different generation than when we were growing up. So you gotta approach them differently. He was talking about how you might look over and you see in his church, you might look up and see some girl dressed, wearing some tight clothes or whatever the case might be, smelling like Hennessy and weed, But that's the person who needs to be in the church. You got to start opening the doors to those type people. Instead of shutting them out, pushing them out. Why are you in church smelling like this? You ought to go home and change clothes. You need to do that. No, you need to let them in the church and let them hear the word. And, he talked about some of the guys coming in with their hair sticking up different kind of ways and everything. Stop pushing those people away from the church. You got to let them in the church. Those are the ones who you need to have in church. They can go out and get other young people, bring them back into the church. One thing I'll say is this, because I walk the streets like I do, and I know consistency works. If you constantly seeing that same person and you're talking to them, you're in their ear, you tell them, hey, bro, you might not be ready now, man, but I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bro, you're still not ready, but I'll see you next week. And consistency is huge when you're trying to win a person over. When you're trying to win that person's trust over, I know this from approaching shooters and bangers out there in the streets, that when I first walked up to them, they would give me the finger. Now those guys will protect me. They won't let nothing happen to me in the hood because they see me out there. They know I'm consistent. They know I'm sincere when I'm out there. So all this is important. All those things are important when you're trying to win a person over from the street from the streets trying to bring them into whatever it is that you're trying to convince them to do, specifically into the church and trying to get them to put these guns and weapons down and stuff. I know that it works, man, because I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen so many times. And you know, you just got to stop pushing those people aside. Now to start giving them some love instead of getting on to them. You got to start showing them some love. I say here all the time, we're not going to being a former cop. You can't arrest our way out of these homicides and these shootings and everything here. We got to start showing more love and let these guys on the streets know, hey man, we're here for you. You know, we got there's a different life out there. Let me talk to you. Let me work with you. Let me pull you in. Spend some time with each other. Let's chop it up. Tell me what's going on in your world. Let me tell you what's going on in my world. Let me tell you how to live a better lifestyle. That's what you have to. That's what it's going to take. You know, you got to be consistent with it. You got to let these people see that you're sincere with it. If you tell them you're going to be there at 7 o'clock, be there at 6:55. If you tell them that you're going to take them to church, you know, you want to take them out to get them something to eat. A lot of these guys and the boys on the corner, they ain't even eating. Some of them not even eating. You know, the refrigerators are empty. I can go on and on. I don't want to get off the topic, but consistency and sincereness are very, very important. I have two comments, and I'm gonna shut up. That I'm gonna read from one is from Fern, and let me pull it back up here. I know Tori had sent it to me. Fern said, interracial and love of God to all interracial and the love of God to love all people is the word. God love all of his people, no matter color, sexual orientation, and religion. Why should there be any question of that? And then Henry Glenn chimed in and said, we do too much talking about race, color, than unity and compassion as Christ did. Those are two of the latest comments that we had. I want to get those out there. So I'm going to turn it back over, let Brother Griff and you chime in and answer some of these questions.
Okay, Griff, before we get that, I do want to hit this other thing that Fern said. She says LGBT, and you see me leaning in on this small point, LGBT seems to be a way of life, which we can't judge. But we'll always say, if you're a Christian, you'll love all people that will not participate against any color, gender, or religion. That's a hard line to follow. But the part of the last commandment, some of the most critical people are those who judge others. That's God's jobs, not ours. Hey, 100%. And Kim has took. You know, we've discussed having a show or forum dealing with sexuality. And we've been kind of warned against that, saying, look, man, you know, whatever people, where they are, we meet, as Jesus would, we meet people where they are. That's what Kim just said. People with their hair any kind of way, people, we're not the judge. We're to introduce them to Christ, show them the virtues of Christ, and then let them go from there. Hey, Tim, let all my people say stomp. Let all the folks say stomp. Anybody who knows anything about gangs know that all gangs line up under those two nations, either the folk nation or the people's nation, the Latin disciples, Black gangster disciples, Latin kings. All of them line up on either side of those. Kurt Franklin specifically reached out to them in that song "Stomp" and radicalized, bringing in people's pulpits, stomping as part of worship. How effective is that in reaching our young people today? Hip hopping to get to them. Where do we draw a line? We're about to get out of here, but we want to hear from you before we do this.
Paul says, I became all things to all men so that I might win them.
Yes, sir.
And what we have to realize as clergy, as bishops, apostles, lay people, is we got to realize, and until we come into a realization of John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, and that becomes real, and that becomes our mantra, that becomes our mission, that becomes our mantle, then we're going to always find ourselves trying to chase the wind, and we'll never catch it, because we got to express authentically the love of God to humanity. And the love of God expressed is to everybody.
Yeah.
You can't pick and choose who God want to love. God loves us all. Now his principles are universal. Yeah. And what I like, I'll say this, I'll answer it this way. Let's look at the Kingdom Hall. Let's look at Jehovah Witness. I have great contradictions with their message, but I love their methodology.
Yes, sir.
I'll take their methodology twice on Sunday, all day, every day that ends in Y. I love their methodology. And until the Black church adopts the methodology of the Jehovah Witness, we're going to continue to be like a dog chasing cars. We got to express the love of God. The love of God must be paramount. The love of God must be on our lips. The love of God must be in our hearts. The love of God must be in our head. The love of God must be in our feet, in our hands. And with everything we do, it has to first come with the love of God. And when we express it with the love of God, that's all Kirk Franklin was doing.
Yeah.
Is that he saw two opposite sides and he said, how can I bring these together? That's what Solomon said. Solomon said, I tell you what, you know what? We'll split the baby in half. If that's what it's going to, we'll just split the baby in half. I'll give you half of the baby and I'll give you the other half. And what did the true mother say? No, don't do it. Don't do it. Dialogue with those who don't split the baby. Let her have it. Let her have a baby. And Solomon said, after hearing that, I know now who's the mother of this child. We got to express the love of God, man.
Tim, bless you, man.
Yeah,
Tim,
man.
listen, we're going to try to corral Bishop Glover and Bishop McKissick back and try to ask Pastor Steve to come back with us. We're kind of covenant to keep the guest panel down to 3 or 4 people, but this is just too relevant of a topic. And all of us are Christians on this panel. Many of us are ministers. We've got to pose a more thriving question to the church community. Is the church relevant to today's society? Let's get past the color line, and we're going to try to bring them back. Would you be available? We'll work the schedule out. Would you be available to come on with the two of them, Brother Steve, and this young man who I'm sitting next to, because he has a busy schedule too. Would you be available to come back if it works your schedule, Tim?
If it works my schedule, yes, sir.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that. I think we lost Pastor Steve Perry. Man, he was awesome tonight. He brought the fire. We're going to need him to come back. I purposely didn't get into some of the things that, okay, bring him back up, please.
Yeah, say he's back, so.
Yeah, Pastor Steve, we're asking you, if you would, we're going to try to do this before, maybe leading into Easter. Maybe that's a relevant conversation leading to Resurrection Sunday. We're going to try to bring those two pastors back. We're going to try to get those two pastors back in, and we're going to ask the panel, we can bring this whole panel back, and we're going to broaden the scope to ask the question, is the Church of God relevant in today's society? And we're going to ask these pastors who have done things, if it's not, how do we get it there? Have we lost it? Bishop Glover, who I came down and worked on his staff, he has really and intentionally, some of the things you talked about, he has reached out, and I didn't want to touch his thunder. I want him to explain his philosophy behind the ministries that he has, that he has put his money and invested in every manner. So I want him to come back and talk about that outreach piece. And like Kim said, Bishop McKissick just with it. He just there. And so I'm going to try to get this leading into Resurrection Sunday, gentlemen. If it has to be first Sunday, the Monday after the first Sunday, or the second Sunday, or the Sunday after Resurrection Sunday, we're going to try to get this over into April. We'll work it out with all of your people and see it happen. Brother Steve, you have any lasting comments before we get out of here? He's muted.
I want to give Brother Griff cufflinks and stuff. I'm still with the old school. I like that stuff. Okay, I know I'm a young fella, but I got to keep my wife happy. Look, yeah, I think this is a powerful conversation. I'm looking forward to come. Y'all caught me on a good day because Mondays is my day off, and but when Toya asked me to do anything, I'm gonna do it because Toya looked out for our church for. I didn't even know who I was gonna be on here, but Toya asked. I said I'm jumping on. So so that's it. But it was wonderful meeting you all tonight. I'm hoping we can keep connection and meet in person one day. So I enjoyed it tonight, and hopefully if y'all as many times y'all need me to come back, I'm willing to come. So
bless you. We'll work it out when we all 6 of us can be on.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Okay. Bro Tim, what say you?
Man, listen, I just want to say this. I want to give a little shameless plug. Kim, Pastor Steve, and Toya. I know Pastor Dozell ride with me. Listen, we're almost at 1,000 subscribers. This thing was birthed in me real quick. I do this thing on YouTube. It's called the 1 Minute in the Word. I drop a new video every Thursday. I take one scripture, break it down, give you a minute or so, and then I'm out of your way. It's a great shot in the arm on Thursday. Follow me at Griff. Well, at TLG Fashions, or you can put Griff 1 Minute Preacher. Man, we almost at 1,000. If I can get you all to subscribe to the channel tonight, we'll make it happen. I'm getting ready to have this 1,000th celebration. Me and the wife was on the beach today, and I've been doing some taping and videotaping for that 1,000 subscriber that we're going to get, man. And like I said, it was birthed out of the pandemic. If anybody knows anything about me, my niche in ministry is evangelism. I mean, I can teach evangelism. I can wake up 3 o'clock in the morning and teach evangelism. And when the pandemic happened, I said, Lord, what's going to happen? I love being out on the street. I love taking Pookie and Ray Ray and telling them about your goodness and your mercy and how you favor them and how you can take them and from the uttermost to the guttermost. And God said, hey, listen, you still can do it. You just got to do it in another form. And we picked up YouTube, man. And we have one of the fastest growing channels there is. Like Pastor Dozell said, man, we get a lot of celebrities that come on and do drops for us. So if y'all can subscribe tonight, man, that'll be a major salute. And I really appreciate it. That's my shameless plug. I digress. Pastor Dozell is back into your capable hands.
Bless you guys. Bless you so much. I travel with Griff, and he'll go. We'll be eating. Where? And he's going to somebody asking them to subscribe. So Kim, we're gonna do something like that. We'll talk about it. He birthed some
That's
ideas in my mind.
Griff?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah, you just search Griff 1 Minute Preacher.
Okay,
Griff, Griff 1 Minute Preacher.
You can consider it done with me, bro. You consider it done.
Hey, just salute.
Thanks a lot, and I'm gonna hold you to it. We're looking to do this over in April. I'm gonna get those two gentlemen, and hopefully won't have the connectivity issues with. I think it just worked out this way, so that we can broaden the scope next time. Thank you all so much, gentlemen. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thanks for staying over a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. KV, how do you see it, man?
Man, the way I see it, I've been sitting here wondering what I was gonna say since about 20 minutes into the show at this segment. And the way I see it is the church just got to get back to being that old school church. You hear me say it all the time, the village, it takes a village to raise a kid. We got to get back to that village. Well, the church got to do the same thing, man. We got to get back to being the churches of old and get out in the community. We got to make our presence felt in the community. The church isn't the building. It's not that's not the church. The church is the people in that building, and those people in that building have to go out and reconnect with what's going on in the streets nowadays. And I think we can definitely put a dent in what's going on if we can't solve a lot of stuff that's going on out in the streets. We can bring the younger crowd in. My church, Bethel, a lot of churches I visit here in Jacksonville have a strong young congregation. They have a youth pastor that deals with a lot of the youth in the church, and you deal with the youth in the way that they need to be dealt with. However they come to you, you respond to it. So it's not like you trying to change them. That's not what the church is all about. I won't say it's not what it's all about, because you're trying to win people over to God. But so there is a change. But what I'm saying, you're not trying to beat them with a stick, trying to say, hey, stop doing this, do that, stop doing this. You let them do it on their own time. Religion is just like somebody on drugs. You can't make them get off drugs. You got to wait till they're ready to do it in their own time. You got to get your religion for yourself in your own time. So you just got to express some love and be sincere and be consistent and let these people know that you're sincere. And you'll see the change slowly starting to develop, I think, if you're sincere with what you're doing. The church got to get back out in the streets is the way I see it. We say at New Life all the time, we're talking about the LGBT community and all that, but we say at New Life all the time, hate the sin, love the sinner. And that's what we got to do, man. God loves all. We got to love all like God. We got to be like God and love all too.
Well, and you guys, you've touched every inch of what we need to do as a church. I'm going to go into the sociological aspect of it and say, listen, brothers, we've got to get away. If we have issues of unforgiveness, and I think Brother Steve hit it on the head. I'm going to admit I've had my issues, particularly with that denomination that I was trained. To my white brothers and sisters, we've got to forget the color of the skin of the leader and listen to the word and the one who they're representing. And we have really got to be the one. We've got to be that one body that Christ has called, engineered, made us to be, the one body in Christ. There is no color, there is no gender, there is no orientation, there is nothing. It's just the heart of people that he sees. And that's what we've got to be. We've got to come together so that we can be the light of the world and the salt to this dying earth. That's how I see it. I know I preached tonight, but that's all right. What an outstanding show God sent us tonight. Next week, we're looking at women in achieving women. We have Dr. LaVon Bracey, whose story is that she was raised up in very racially segregated St. Augustine, Florida, and she suffered because of her race, and she overcame that, and she's now doing a yeoman's work in registering people to vote after having retired from ministry. And she's going to be on, along with Dr. Julia Hill, who retired from working at the University of Dubuque, I think it was. And she's going to come on and encourage our ladies how we can, and they have to overcome too, because they're still look at second class. They still make $70 or 70 cents on the dollars compared to men. So we want to come in and ask these ladies to share their story and encourage our ladies and our young ladies and all people who have been oppressed, as Griff started out tonight talking about, to rise to what America offers, the American dream for everybody. KV, it's been a blast, man. Thank you for your great input as always tonight.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having, man. You know, I say all the time, in Q, and I say this a lot of times when we're dealing with the community. It's simple, but it ain't easy. And we know what we need to do. It's just hard trying to get people to actually do it, I guess, is what I'm saying. And by saying that, it's simple, but it's not easy. And once we get to that point where it's easy, that's when you'll see the difference, the shift. That's when you see the shift come. So thank you all our listeners for Fern, Henry, Sister Tierra was a new member joining us tonight. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I appreciate you. And keep your ear down to the ground for Dialogue with Dozie.
Next Monday night. God bless.
Great job, Tori.